Okay, so this is an update of Spock, Alberta for early October. Today we're going to concentrate on the oil-related activities. I've completed all of the modules, islands, whatever you want to call them, associated with oil processing or fuel processing. And the reason I did these first was because I had bought some of those wonderful scale model trains, tankers, and wanted to be able to use them sooner rather than later. I'll go through the components one by one, just to point out that the inspiration, semi-prototype, whatever word you want to say it, in southern Alberta does not have either fueling facilities or an oil tanker loading facility. It's only manages grain, but considering that my interest in the oil industry and considering the tankers, I decided to do this first. So let's get started. I showed this last time, but this is an oil pump, a toy oil pump, a wooden oil pump, fitting with my kind of surrealistic point of view, and it is going to supposedly hook up by pipeline to a crude oil loading facility. And I've put in a couple of other pieces, some decals on this small black tower that is not really prototype either, but is kind of supposed to represent something to do with the pipeline. This is the diesel refueling facility. This starts with a Walters kit, and it's mostly the same Walters kit, but it needed a considerable amount of modification. The Walters kit was set up for regular track, not for using Bachman EZ Track, and it was much narrower. It assumed the two tracks were very close together, and I had to then modify this so that it would deal with the Bachman EZ Track and deal with the fact that I had a much larger space between the two tracks. So this is the fueling side, if you will, on this guide, and the idea is that there would be a locomotive there fueling. This is the mostly the offloading side, but I put another fueling station on that side. Probably won't, quote unquote, use that. Then this is the rest of the module with replacing one of the roads, and you would have noticed in the previous things, and putting a gate on it and putting some warning signs and things like that, so that it kind of fills in the rest of the scene. So here it is set up, the fueling station set up in what might be called the standard configuration, with a switcher parked at the refueling point and probably just finished loading up, and a tanker on the offloading side. It should be empty by now and ready for the switcher to pick it up. Okay, so this is the oil tanker loading module. The oil storage tank on the left-hand side is scratch-built. It's supposed to connect up with the oil pump that we saw before via an underground pipeline, which obviously you can't see. And I added a couple of details. This is basically a Walters kit in the center. I've added some detail, like a figure here on the deck, and a sort of area out here to fill in the triangle between these two tracks, with some oil drums and another figure and that kind of thing. So that's what the unit itself. So this is the configuration I expect to have, with one or two rail cars, tanker cars sitting there, being loaded from the storage tank, and when they're full, then the switcher will come along and pick them up. And finally, I've updated the billboard, removed the somewhat more political statement I had the last time, and to change it for something a little bit more fun. Let me just zoom in and try and get a better look at it so you can actually read it. Get it into focus. There we go. We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. George Bernard Shaw. And I thought that was kind of appropriate for somebody getting into a hobby like this at my somewhat advanced age. That's it for this time. Live long and prosper.